Doing something productive. I'm well aware the tier list, the other thing we got coming up. Hey, where is Sadako?
Do you know how long I've been waiting here for?
I dunno. A couple of days, maybe.
2 fucking weeks!
I'm sorry, okay? Look, how about I make it up to you with not one, but 2 Sadako videos on DBD? How does that sound?
Fine, we have a deal. But if you fuck up too many times, I will kill you.
Wait, what?
Just roll the intro already.
Yeah, some days I feel unfazed, like when I'm with my friends with a cup raised. And on Monday, I got a gun raised, suicidal do or die until hump day. Then I go right back at it like an automatic. More drinks, more songs, more beats to rap. I need a shrink, I'm going more time.
So, you want to learn how to play the Onryō, but you don't know where to start. Oh man, I want to learn to play this new killer, but I don't know what to do. What does this killer even do? How does she work? Shut up. Shut the fuck. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. I have got just the guide for you. Hi, I am the top Onryō player of all time. I am the best one. I'm P1000 on Onryō. And don't fact check that because it's true. And if you don't believe me, you're gonna go to hell. So welcome. I'm gonna try and give a quick rundown of how the Onryō works as a killer, so that because it's part of the video, and as asked me to. So that's what I'm gonna do. So Onryō. Let's start with the tools that she has at her disposal. So, Onryō has 2 statuses that she can be. She can be demanifested, which means that she is undetectable. She will be visible and invisible at intermittent intervals, and she has no collision with survivors, so you can walk right through survivors. Also, you cannot M1 while you are demanifested. You can only M1 when you are manifested, which is the second status that she can be in, which basically just means that you're normal. Like you're in a normal state that all M1 killers are in. You have collision, you have terror radius, you can M1, all that fucking great stuff. Demanifestation also has the added bonus to where you can teleport to the different TVs around the map. So Onryō has a set of TVs that spawn around the map, and when you are demanifested, you can look at a TV and teleport to it. And then you crawl out of the TV, and boom, you're there. You're there, baby. You're crawling out of that TV, and you're there where the TV is where you teleported to. I'm so good with my... I'm so good. When you teleport to the TV, any survivor that is standing within range, which I believe is about 14 meters in circumference, any survivor that is standing within that range will get a condemn stack. What is a condemn stack? I hear you asking. If you would just give me a second, because I was about to get there. A condemn stack is a stack that a survivor gets that condemns them. This is so... How do I explain this with words? So, when you're playing against an Onryō, you will notice that if you're playing on the survivor side, you will have a little bar with little rectangles surrounding your character, and you have 7 of them. If all 7 of those are filled, you will become red. And when you are red, if the Onryō downs you, she will be able to mori you and kill you and get you out of the game instantaneously. So condemn stacks are when those little rectangles fill up with gray rectangles. And on the killer side, it looks like a little ring of fog around the survivor's icon. So you need to get 7 stacks on a player. Every time you teleport to a TV, if a player is within about 14 meters of that TV, they will gain 1 condemn stack. And if you do that 7 times, they will become red. And when they become red, from the Sadako's point of view, you can see the killer, you get killer instinct on that survivor, and you can go chase them. And you can go kill them. And you can go down them. And then you can mori them. So that's the basic fundamentals of Sadako's kit. Now, what about the survivors? Can they do anything about this? Well, yes, they can actually. Survivors have probably the easiest counterplay to Sadako out of any killer, like in the game. All they need to do is they can go to a TV and pull a tape, and that TV will turn off. Sadako will not be able to use that TV for, I believe it's about 60 or so seconds. When the tape is pulled, the survivor will gain a condemn stack. But nay, worry, because they're not going to keep it. A survivor will then have a TV indicated to them on the map. This TV will be the TV that is farthest from the TV that they took the first tape out of. If they go to that TV, they can turn that TV off as well and remove the condemn stack they got from picking the tape up. So, no punishment at all. Also, while a survivor is walking to that indicated TV, they can passively turn off 3 other TVs by walking to them. So you can turn off 5 of Sadako's TVs and not have a condemn stack for 1 tape. Her counterplay is so unbelievably easy. It infuriates me. It makes me so mad. It makes me so angry. So that's her counterplay. So how do you actually play Sadako? What does her gameplay loop look like? Well, you're going to see gameplay of Az trying to, do what she's going to do. I have full faith that she did her match and she got 4 outs. She killed all of them. She got 4 red condemns and moried all of them and did it before any gens were complete. And it was the quickest game of Dead by Daylight that anyone's ever seen. But the basic gameplay loop of Sadako is condemn stacking. That is really what you want to be going for. A content creator that's really good to watch this for is one Pump Willie. He sort of popularized this hyper-aggressive condemn stacking for Sadako. So what it is you teleport to a TV and you try and figure out where survivors are based on who gets condemned and who doesn't. And then if you can figure out where a survivor is, don't teleport to the TV the survivor's at. Instead, teleport to all of the TVs around the TV that the survivor's at, so you can just stack up that condemn, so then by the time you get to the survivor, they're going to be red. And when you teleport to the TV that they're at, that's going to be the final condemn stack, and boom, they're red, and you can go mori them. Now, obviously, that's not always how the game is going to go. And sometimes you will have to initiate and chase. Sadako's very bad in chase. She only has her M1. So another very important thing to keep in mind and to learn on Sadako is manifest mind games. When you are demanifested and you manifest, you get a brief period of invisibility, followed by a brief period of visibility, followed by a brief period of invisibility, followed by visibility. During that time, you can use that to fake out a survivor. So let's say you're committing one direction in a loop, you manifest, you go invisible, and then you back, and then you go back, and then when you're visible again, you make it look like you're committing to that side of the loop, and then you go invisible again, and you commit to the other side. And then you can cross up survivors that way, and when you really get the timing down, you can really do a lot of mind games with it. It can be really good on certain loops. But, unfortunately, there are just some loops that Sadako's not going to win on. And you just kind of have to accept that. And there's nothing you can do about it except cry. But Sadako's main game plan is all about decision making. There's a passive ability that Sadako has where if a survivor has any amount of condemn stack on them and you hook them, that survivor is now locked in to 3 condemn stacks for the rest of the match, which means they cannot go any lower than 3 condemn stacks. They will always have, at the very least, 3 condemn stacks. Now, you might be hearing this and go, well, I should always go for hooks. Well, early game for Sadako can be pretty rough. Your TVs don't turn on for about 40 seconds after the game starts. So going for hooks in that period is kind of a waste because your chase power is so weak, and without your TVs, you can't commit to condemn stacking, and you can't, trip up any survivors or cut survivors off with your TVs, so you're just M1 chasing. Getting a hook as Sadako is good, obviously, but when you're playing Sadako, your main goal, my main goal, is to blow up. Your main goal should not be going for hooks. Your main goal should be putting pressure early game as much as you can, finding where the survivors are, finding what gens the survivors are going to be on, and then committing to the condemn stacking. In the situation that the survivors are doing tape counterplay very well, then I would suggest going for hooks so you can lock survivors in at condemn stacks to make the tape counterplay a little weaker. But, you know, if the survivors are good enough and they're really putting the pressure on with your tapes, it's going to be one of those situations where you kind of just have to hope that you can get good chases and then down people enough to put enough pressure on them. I'm trying to keep this brief, so I'm really trying to speed run through all of this. So the main things that you really want to learn on Sadako are condemn stacking and demanifest mind games. And those are things that you kind of just have to do over and over again in practice, and you'll get more comfortable with it, and you'll get more comfortable with figuring out where survivors are with your condemn stacking, because Sadako can actually be pretty good aura reading wise. You don't really need a lot of aura reading on Sadako if you get good enough at her, because then you can understand, oh, I teleport to this area and these survivors got condemned and these survivors didn't, and I have this general idea of where these survivors are versus these ones, and you can kind of figure out where survivors are generally with your condemns. Now, sometimes that's not the case, but that's just sort of thing you have to figure out in the moment. Sadako is also a killer that very heavily relies on your ability to pick and choose your chases. You have to know and you have to be able to clock if a chase will be worth your time during that time. Making it sound a lot simpler than it is, but Sadako's kit isn't mechanically challenging. It's very macro challenging. And so, as you're going to see with Az's gameplay, it's kind of hard to visualize all of this without actually seeing it. So keep the things that I'm saying in mind while you're watching Az's gameplay. Now, builds for Sadako. What builds do I recommend for Sadako? Well, with the PTB coming out and with all the changes that are going to be made to the game with how dog shit Sadako is going to become, I would say the two best add-ons for Sadako are going to be Broken Fingernails and Ring Drawing. Honestly, so what Broken Fingernails does is every time you exit a television, you get a little speed boost for a little bit. Broken Fingernails increases the duration you get this speed boost by 50%. So it's pretty significant and you can really feel it when you play. And Ring Drawing makes it to where if you hook a survivor that has a tape, it puts one condemn stack on every other survivor in the game. And maybe that doesn't seem like much, but getting anything that can help you build those condemn stacks is very important if you want to try and use the true power of Sadako's kit. And especially coming up in the PTB with whatever changes go live, it's going to be pretty rough for Sadako. So having that to further give you incentivizations and benefits for hooking will be something that you'd want to have. Now, another perk that you could use for her is Iridescent Remote Control, which allows you to see the aura of all survivors within 12 meters of an active TV. That's pretty good. Even if you kind of get the hang of her aura reading, of her passive aura reading, it's still a pretty good perk. It's still a pretty good add-on to have. Now, perks. What perks are good on Sadako? It's always good to give yourself more incentives to hook, which is why I think Make Your Choice is a very good perk on Sadako. It's very easy to proc on her. You just teleport away from the hook, and then you teleport back to the hook. And then if it all works out, you can get pretty good value. Now, I know that I said her passive aura reading is really good, but I would say that if you're going to run Iridescent Remote Control, I would say it's good to run Lethal Pursuer as well. Sadako's early game is extremely weak, given that she doesn't have any TVs, and you can't really put any pressure any more than like an M1 killer would, and her stealth isn't great, so you're not really going to get as many gen grabs unless you get really good at doing it and you get really lucky. Gen grabs are going to be really hard to get on Sadako. So Lethal Pursuer just helps you kind of focus your early game a little bit more. Passive slowdown perks. Oh my god, passive slowdown perks. Put them on Sadako. Ruin, Surge, those kinds of perks where you don't have to directly interact with the gens. Those are going to be really good perks to run because with Sadako, you're constantly going to be doing something. You're constantly going to be looking for places to apply pressure. You're constantly going to be looking to condemn stack. You're constantly going to be looking for players with tapes to cut them off from TVs. There's not a lot of downtime with Sadako. And so having those passive gen regressions is really going to help you maximize the amount of time you can spend on your actual gameplay and not the regression. I would also say exposed perks like Dragon's Grip and Make Your Choice. Those are things you want to consider on Sadako. Dragon's Grip isn't always super useful, but if you can really get the map for it and if you can really get the survivors for it, it can actually be pretty good. And finally, in terms of perks, you gotta run coup de grace. Look, I know people find coup de grace boring, but like you gotta run coup de grace. It's just like, oh my god. It's like there is such a clear difference between playing Sadako without coup de grace and playing Sadako with coup de grace. You gotta play coup de grace. You gotta play coup de grace. And that's it. That's the Sadako guide. A very condensed, concise Sadako guide. Just the fundamentals of how her kit works, how to think about using her kit, and things that you should learn on her, and good builds for her. Now, watch Az's gameplay, and watch her just fucking destroy this team. I mean, she's gonna get 4 Moris before any gens are done, and in the end game, the survivors are gonna be like, "Oh my god, you're the best Sadako, well, second best Sadako player behind me, of course. You're the second best Sadako player that I've ever seen in my life. I'm gonna go subscribe to your YouTube channel." Subscribe to her YouTube channel, by the way. Subscribe.